Hey everyone, this is Jane with Barlow Herbal, and welcome to this amazing segment of education about nutrition, motivation with the beautiful Sara DeLuca. Now this is a girl that I met, yes, there she is, she's in the wings, and I met her in the most interesting of situations. So about, how long has it been, Sara, about 8 years?
That's probably right.
Yeah. So 8 years ago, in the middle of the winter, my husband and I were on vacation in the Virgin Islands. We were escaping the cold, dark weather here where I live, and we needed to get out, which we try to do every year. So we're on a boat. We're taking a boat ride in one of the Virgin Islands. It was beautiful. It was amazing. There were other people on the trip, and on this trip were these two girlfriends who were on a girls' trip together, Sara and her friend. And we just connected. In fact, we connected so much that we met up for dinner the next night, and the four of us had dinner. And you learn about each other, like, what do you do? Well, what do you do? And when Sara heard that I have an herbal company, and we kind of started talking, and she's telling me all the things that she was dealing with. We have been incredibly close friends ever since then, even though she lives far away. We have visited each other in our respective hometowns. And so Sara, I am so glad that you agreed to do this little video with me. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, Sara is going to come aboard, and we're going to start talking about nutrition and the depth, because her knowledge is vast and amazing. And she's got an amazing company called Nourish Beyond that is crazy good. And I'm so happy to introduce you to her. So Sara, why don't you tell your version of us connecting?
It's such a good story, and you hit the logistics perfectly, but I have to add a couple more items there, because yes, we're on this boat in the beautiful Caribbean, and the water is spectacular, and everybody's got like the wind blowing through their hair, and we're all loving life. And then there's Jane. She's got her fabulous camera out there, and she's just doing a photo shoot of the whole scenery, the boat, everything. And then you were so cute because you were like, oh, you and your girlfriend, you're so cute. Can I take some photos? So that's actually how we first got to talking. Was you had your camera, because of course you're so good at that. That's one of your hobbies. I'm sure people know that. And yeah, so you took some fabulous pictures of my girlfriend and I on the boat, and I still have them. And they're still some of the best pictures from that vacation. And yeah, I think it was interesting because I wanted to mention that when I talked to you about what you do, and at first I didn't really quite understand, and you were maybe a tiny bit hesitant to just explain it, because I wasn't. I don't know, I was kind of like pressing you. I was kind of like pressing you for details. I was like, but what do you mean herbs? What kind of herbs? Give me some information on the herbs. And then finally, when you sent me the email, I was all over it. I sent you that email. I was asking you the questions like, what about this, Jane? What about that, Jane? What do you think about this, Jane? And I was kind of bombarding you. But I have to say, from that very experience, that was the day we met, and the next day we met, my whole life and terrain of my health changed right there.
Yeah. So, and that's like, it's really rare that people will bombard me like that, because most people don't want to hear it. They might want to say, they're being polite, saying, well, what do you do? And, oh, that's nice. And I remember that very clearly. You were like, because you're inquisitive, especially when it comes to health. I remember that. Those are my favorite memories of that trip, is sitting at dinner, and I remember my husband and your girlfriend are going,
right?
You and I are talking about nutrition and herbs, and so yeah. And do you mind sharing with us how your life changed and what you were dealing with? Because I know I love your story.
No, of course. So once we got to talking, of course, I was asking you about some specific issues, and I had big problems with urinary tract infections and just chronic, consistent UTI that really, it doesn't sound like a big deal. Oh, it's a bladder infection, it's not that big a deal. But really, my life was limited in what I couldn't do based on that. So that was big for me, and a couple other issues as well. But that at the moment was the biggest problem that I was experiencing. And I was pretty new into this whole realm at the time. So the only avenue I had ever looked at or had been shown was, of course, traditional antibiotics. And after rounds and rounds and rounds and rounds and rounds of antibiotics, and of course, it doesn't work, I was kind of without any idea as to how to fix this. And it, of course, had spiraled into issues beyond that when any kind of inflammation does. So yeah, LDM. So here's what happened. I'm just going to launch right into this.
Yeah, perfect.
So Jane said, here, take some LDM. Here's the deal. And I said, give me as much and as strong a potency you got, because I want it all. So I jumped in head first, 100%. And here's what happened. I remember it like it was yesterday. I took 4 drops, and I, within a matter of 12 hours, felt fantastic, energy-wise. Never, and I continued to take it. I'm not saying I only took 4 drops and this is what happened, but this is what happened initially. 4 drops, had a huge amount of energy, continued to take it and increase the dosage. Didn't ever again, and I mean ever, have another UTI after I took the 4 drops and continued to take it for months. Well, I've been taking it for years now, and never had another UTI again, period. End of conversation. So I guess the major takeaway I want to put in on that little anecdote is this. I get so much response on herbal remedies with people lacking respect for their potency. And I just have to say 4 drops cured that level of, and that depth of infection that I couldn't clear up on 4 drops. And of course, continued use. But the potency and the efficiency of this, I've never experienced anything like it.
Yeah, you got a rash too.
I had the rash just about immediately. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think it's such a non-issue. I mean, it's such a non-issue that you didn't even bring that up.
I didn't bring it up because it wasn't, for me, it wasn't a negative part of the experience. Oh. Yes, I got the rash. And here's the weird thing for me about the rash is that I got the rash, but I had more energy than I had ever had in so long. Yes, I had the rash. Yes, it wasn't the greatest thing in the world, but it didn't take me down. Like, it didn't bring me down off of trying to fix this issue. I knew what it was. And I felt like it was just, I just wanted more. I wanted more of the release, more of the detox. Right. So that's where I was at with the rash. But yeah, I got the rash within a day. I got the rash. Yeah.
Which really means you needed it so much. And honestly, that's one of my favorite things about your experience. Not only your increased energy, because this is something that we hear all the time, is the increased energy. But and so I want to just jump ahead because I don't want people to open up this video and see that it's 2 hours long, because Sarah and I could talk for a long time when we're just talking. So this is what I have found being friends on this level with Sarah, because I'm not kidding you. Since that day we met almost 8 years ago, Sarah and I are completely kindred spirits. I mean, we might not talk sometimes for a few months, but I'm telling you, this girl is like aligned with my exact way. And so sometimes she's got this great Facebook page, she's got this great Instagram page, and the food that you eat and the food that we like enjoy together as friends, just when on the times when we have been able to get together, it's just like pure joy with each other.
I agree.
Yeah. So let's give my amazing listeners a really cool couple of things to take away. Okay. So let me give you a scenario. If you have a absolutely crazy, wicked sweet tooth, what is something that you can use as a go-to? I mean, I know sometimes you might have to run to the store, but do you have any tips that you could give, that would stop a crazy sweet tooth?
Yeah, I've got lots of tips. I'll give you actually a recent post that I did. And I actually had tried many versions of this recipe, but this one is so tasty and so easy. But the first thing I'll say is for the sweet tooth, because I get hit with it too, of course. I mean, at some point, everyone gets hit with the, okay, I just need a treat. I need something tasty, lovely. So just as long as you're not doing the refined sugar and you're not doing the processed sweets. So instead, you've got your dates and you've got dates and raw honey. And if you want, you can use some rice bran syrup, things like that. So I actually did a post on these raw caramel squares, and all that's in them is tahini, so that's ground sesame, of course, cocoa, and dates and almond meal. I threw in some hemp seeds, and I threw in a little bit of raw honey for that sweetness. And then you just freeze them. Cut that square 20 minutes later. And if that does not satisfy you, I would be shocked, because it's sweet and it's so good. It's got the consistency you want. Yeah, delicious. And the ingredients, 100% natural, right? 100% raw. No cooking involved, no flour, no refined sugar. So something like that, where you're using the dates and you're using the natural sweetener, then that would be what I would say to do right off the cuff. Because most people who are on this path will have at least a couple of those in the pantry.
Yeah, and that's perfect. In fact, if your sweet tooth is so wicked that you can't wait till the squares are done, pick up one of the dates and eat it while you're making the treat. Because if you have those options out there, like an apple or a banana or a date, dates are so sweet. I can eat a date, like a Medjool date. I feel like I've just had a chunk of yummy brown sugar.
Absolutely.
They're so good. So okay, so there, and I'm sure I'm going to put a link below this video in the comments below this with your recipe.
Cool.
Okay. Because I know when you just talked about it, if we don't give the recipe, there's going to be some problems. Okay. Here's a scenario for you. You're driving home from work and you've had the hardest day. You actually worked late and you're starving. And you're like, you know what? I deserve to drive through fast food. Okay, so what do you say to that?
The first thing is nobody deserves to be hit with that kind of toxic chemical load of food that is just garbage. That's the first thing. So no, you don't deserve you don't deserve drive-through. In fact, you deserve exactly the opposite of drive-through, because that would be a much more apt statement of, how you want to take care of yourself. That's the first thing. Second thing is, you deserve something good. Absolutely. Drive-through is not it. But what would I do in that scenario? And I used to get caught in those scenarios all the time when my work schedule was a little bit more insane. The whole 70-hour work week thing, 6-day week thing. When life looked like that, I would get caught in that scenario, of course, just from lack of preparation. But these days, it's a little bit different once you make some lifestyle choices. But honestly, the easiest thing that I make, and actually this afternoon I just made a pot. The easiest thing that I make that I love, and this might sound crazy or maybe unappetizing, but it's not. But it's just a pot of soup with anything you love in it. Like, it's the easiest thing. It takes me 20 minutes to chop up some vegetables. And if you're not vegetarian, if you eat meat, you want to shred some chicken, put some turkey in there, whatever works for you. And if you need some carbs, you throw in some barley, like whatever you feel like at the moment. So you want to binge on some carbs, throw in some barley. You need some weight to that soup, because soup's just not going to do it because you feel like you're starving to death. You put your brown rice in it, put your quinoa in it, put your barley in it. That'll beef it right up. You're really starving. You need some meat in there. Put your beef in, put your chicken in, as long as it's clean. So yeah, there are definitely 20-minute, 30-minute ways to get some proper whole nutrition that's fast. That whole drive-through thing, no.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. But I think everyone at one time in their life gets caught in that.
For sure.
I had my share of that when I was a lot younger, where it just felt. I actually went through a pretty big phase when my kids were little, where I thought it was actually okay. And I fed them a lot of fast food. I'll be really honest. And it's just easy. And I think this was before the big learning curve, where I think everybody knows that when you drive through fast food, junk food, you're not eating food, that you're not even really eating food. So if that can be maybe a little takeaway for you. And here's one thing I want to add to that, because we think that we have to eat and we can't wait for a half an hour or an hour. And I really learned this with all the traveling that I've done, that if I'm on a long overseas flight, what I do is I fast. I don't eat anything. All I do is drink water, because it helps with jet lag. You're not really moving. You might get up and walk around a little bit, but we're so conditioned to immediately feed ourselves when we're not just starving hungry, but when we have like a little inkling for something sweet or something salty, or because everything is so accessible, we think that we have to feed that urge right away. So here's maybe a challenge that goes along with this is wait, drink a glass of water and just wait, right? I mean, what do you say about that?
You know what, Jane, I think like you hit on a couple of points there that we could really talk about, but here's, when you talk about some quick tips, absolutely wait. And if you've got your bottle, if you've got your bottle of water with you or your container with you, and if you have anything, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or, or your stainless or your glass, exactly. And if you've got that with you, all you need is a touch of salt or a touch of something that's going to give you some electrolyte balance and a little bit of glucose balance. So, and that doesn't mean a chocolate bar. That means a bite of, your protein bar or if you hydrate, and you've talked about this many times, if you hydrate versus feed, then you'll notice a huge difference in that major hunger pang, because a lot of times that's exactly what it is. And you've talked about that before.
Yeah, you're not.
And the fasting. And I love that you mentioned fasting. I mean, the benefits are never ending from the fasting. It's, yeah. And you're right. When you're on the plane, the pressure, you're not moving. So you've got all this caloric intake, zero output. And so where is it going? It's all being stored. And of course, it's not going to be the healthiest that you're eating when you're traveling, but yes. So a lot of times, if you can just put that touch of something in your water, whether it's just a touch of something of maybe a little bit of sweetener, if you've got anything around, or even just something that's got a little bit salty, just to balance out what's going on physiologically, huge difference. 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Drink like 10 minutes and all of a sudden, oh no, I don't need to eat a 1,500 calorie meal while I'm sitting here for 14 hours on the plane. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you can certainly last when you're driving home from work, just take a deep breath and really kind of look at what it is that you're, what is it that you're really after and what is it that you really deserve?
Right. And I think that whole point is mindfulness is what that is.
Yeah, I agree totally. Okay. So I'm going to like tease everybody and like say, okay, I'm taking Sara away now and we're going to be back. So if you want to connect with Sara, she's on at Nourish Beyond on Instagram and the same Nourish Beyond on Facebook. And what you see on there is simply her recipes, her beautiful photos of food. You're a workout girl. So,
well, you've got to do it. I mean, we're not getting any younger. So there's that.
Well, there's that. Well, that's part of the whole taking care of our physical body.
Absolutely.
So she's got some fun stuff. So leave us some comments below this video, and we are going to both monitor this video, and you might be able to connect with Sara, because Sara will be on and monitor if you guys have any questions. But if you love Sara, hit the thumbs up button and let me know that we want to bring her back, because I'm telling you, there's a lot of knowledge in that beautiful face right there on the screen. So
okay, Janie, that's like, just stop now. That's enough. Keep going. No, stop. No, keep going. No, I just wanted to mention one thing. Just about the page and what to expect on it. Honestly, like really, just simply, quickly put, the whole purpose is very simple, and it's really just to do one thing, and that is to inspire a complete restructure of how you think about food. That's what you'll get.
Simple. Yeah.
Yeah, really simple.
Honestly, some really good recipes, because I've tried a couple of your recipes and They're good. And they're simple and beautiful. And I think when you make that switch, so that's a really nice, that's a nice mission. Help people think differently about their food. Really.
That's it. You know, it's just opening up a new door. It's just opening up a new door and going, oh, okay, I never would have otherwise thought about that. That's it. And that's how it starts. That's how it rolls, right?
Yeah. So I'm going to be sharing Sara a lot, and I want you guys to be on the lookout for her and leave us some comments. And like I said, hit the like button on this video. I hope you guys have an amazing day. Thank you, Sara, for cooking it with me. You're one of my favorite people on the whole planet. I just need you to know.
I couldn't agree with you more, except the other way around. I love you, Jeannie. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
I love you too. Talk to you soon, and thanks for joining.
Bye.